Hey folks, welcome to the first episode of the Avocado Gamescast recorded in 2021. And as we always do with our first episode of the year, we're going to talk about the games we're anticipating. And we'll also make some predictions for the year to come. Will we be accurate? Probably not. But we have no financial stake in the outcomes, so we can just say whatever we want. Isn't that great? Anyway, I'm your host Merve, and joining me, she's sending good vibes to Zagreus, it's Lovely Bones.
I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on that joke. Alright.
And he's the man, the myth, the legend. It's the Tutmeister, Andy Tuttle.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be back.
Glad to have both of you back today to talk about 2021.
Thank you.
Which is...
Andy, did you know that you were on my very first episode I ever did of this show? Which was
no
2
kidding.
years ago?
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, back in 2019, when the world was a different place.
Yeah.
We could go see people and go to concerts and movies. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I think I was still living in Los Angeles at the time. It was a very different world.
I was dating a second person and going to bars with them.
Yeah.
Good.
Life was different back in the day. I love when we say back in the day, like we're all 50 or something, which is fine. You can be a 50-year-old and play video games. Video games are for everyone.
Video games are for everyone, but also I do expect my lifespan to be equivalent to that of a Solarian, roughly. Like 40 and out.
I mean,
Oh, God.
are you
Yeah,
also
I'm
going to did you also hatch from an egg?
Maybe.
It's possible. We're all amphibious on the inside. So the holidays happened. Some of us got some more video games. Some of us played some more video games. What did y'all play over the holidays? Bones, what were you playing?
Too many things. I really spread myself unhealthily thin. Like I play a few games at a time a lot, but this was bad. It was a poor choice. Anyway, Hitman 2016. The new one's coming out. I can't afford to buy a $60 game. Really hoping that Mass Effect Remaster isn't $60. Anyway, so I'm playing the first one, the 2016 Season 1 reboot. And it'd be so helpful if we could have called the sequels to that one Seasons 2 and 3. But the market dictated otherwise. Anyway.
Yeah, the market just kind of remember how we have two Prey games? And they came out 11 years apart, and Steam had a bug for a while where if you had both of them, it would install the new one over the old one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why would you want to play the one? That doesn't make any sense.
We're all very lucky that the Halloween slasher franchise isn't a video game. There would be literally 3 different games overlapping each other.
Could you imagine if Weezer was a video game? That would really screw things up.
Okay, honestly, that might be legit, though. Like, the blue game, the red game.
Yeah, you just
I'd
put
be
those
interested.
parentheses.
The teal game, which is just stolen assets from another game. So, how is Hitman? How are you enjoying it?
Hitman's really good. I mean, I've been playing this series, since I was, 12. I have a lot of built-up attachment for it. But yeah, it took me a long time to get around to these reboot games, but they're really, really good as a person who was used to playing the original Xbox ones. These ones are a big leap in certain ways. You know, the maps are a lot bigger, but they're not too cluttered or too big. They're just gorgeous now, and there's some nice little mechanical changes like that when you're physically wrestling with someone, it looks like you're physically wrestling with them, and instead of just kind of mechanically jabbing them for a bit.
So not like a slap fight. It's an actual tussle.
Yeah. Physical hand-to-hand combat in the old games is basically slapping in GoldenEye.
Does every game in this series have you dress up as a waiter and try to assassinate somebody? Because I've only ever played one Hitman game, and I swear that was 2 of the missions in one of them. And the trailer
Well,
for all the Hitman games that come out are you dressed up as a waiter.
that's like the easiest option you could ever access, but there's always like 30 different options per level, and they vary in wackiness. Just in this game, I have taken over the identity of a supermodel, walked a runway, and then killed the person who employs the supermodel. Also, the supermodel is secretly another assassin.
Okay. A lot
That-
of bald supermodels out there?
Yeah, I'm I in the second level, the Italian level in 2016, I killed a guy as a therapist. Like he sat right down on his couch, and I just got up and smothered him with a pillow.
That is dark.
Yes, it is.
Hey, Doc, I have some problems. Oh, here you go. Let me just put this pillow on your face.
Forget about everything.
Yeah.
The series has always been incredibly creative and varied, and like encouraging you to explore and just discover all of the possibilities available to you, and that's always been something that I've really enjoyed. Also, it's one of the only kind of stealth games I can really get into because I'm much more into the like, oh God, do they suspect me? I'm dressed as a clown, and am I a convincing enough party clown? Than like, oh, I'm in the shadows, and just if anyone sees me, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's more like that social stealth idea that Assassin's Creed kind of tries to do, but is also kind of beholden to more typical stealth mechanics. I think you kind of got to go one way or the other with it.
Yeah, like that was the thing when Assassin's Creed first came out. When I was in, brace yourselves, middle school. Like I got the original, and I was heartbroken that it wasn't enough like Hitman, which was that necessarily fair?
Well, yeah, actually, the first game of the series is a lot more like Hitman than the subsequent games of the series, which kind of went more action adventure, and now they're an RPG, I guess.
That's absolutely true, but that's the thing. For like 11-year-old Lily, it was like, yeah, this is close enough, but not enough for me. And then like, you know, the series has kept moving further and further away from that. It was a hack and slash for a while, then it was like a weird multiplayer thing. Now they're just huge RPGs.
Yeah, I forgot that Unity was a 4-player co-op game, which still weirds me out. And the old games in the series had multiplayer, like I guess I think it was competitive multiplayer. I don't even know how that works.
And I want to Brotherhood. Yeah, I don't know how it works either. I tapped out after 2 because not only did I not enjoy the increasing hack and slashiness, but I also just found Ezio just
Ezio is.
I was just saying the multiplayer in Assassin's Creed it's okay. I didn't love it, but yeah, it's basically kind of like a one versus the group kind of a thing. Like one dude is trying to assassinate other people, and the other ones are trying to get away.
I like that kind of asymmetrical thing. So good concept at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was well received when it came out, but I don't know how it would play now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was an interesting thing for its time, but I think there's a reason they moved away from doing it probably because they couldn't justify server costs on the basis of probably having not that big a player base, I'm guessing.
Yeah, like especially when you're Ubisoft and you have Rainbow Six Siege being the bankroller of the world over there. You don't need to maintain multiplayer servers for every single game you have, you know. But yeah, I love Hitman because I find its stealth very unique and satisfying, and I like the puzzle box level design that encourages exploration and replayability and all that stuff. I'm a big fan, and these new games they're good. I would probably recommend them. Wolfman Jew is literally, he's never played this series before at all, and he's also playing the 2016 game at the same time, and he's having a great time. I think it's a good entry point for sure. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm down to definitely give it a go. I've been meaning to. I just never get around to it because of all these other games in the backlog. But I really should give it a go because it looks exactly like the kind of experience that puzzle boxy kind of experience is exactly what I want to have. Andy, what have you been playing?
I'm kind of in the opposite boat. I didn't play a lot of different games over the holiday. I just kind of kept it to a couple of main kind of titles there. One was Cyberpunk, and I don't really want to talk about that one too much because what else can you say about Cyberpunk? But the other one I was playing was Murder by Numbers on the Switch.
Oh yeah, I've played that.
Yeah, it's fun. I think I'm getting to the point, 'cause you had mentioned, I think, in your kind of year-end games wrap-up on the Avocado, that the game starts out okay, but then near the end, it really starts to kind of like show its flaws, where it just kind of like the story needs to wrap the fuck up already, and
Yep.
the puzzles just become increasingly tedious. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm probably about halfway through the third chapter, maybe the fourth chapter. I can't remember.
Is it the one at the drag bar or the one on the boat?
The drag bar. So I think that's the
Oh
third
yeah,
episode.
you've got like 15 hours left.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. What do they call this? I mean, it's
Picross?
Nintendo has like P-Cross or whatever. I think like it's called like because my girlfriend plays these. Like you can get free puzzles on the internet. It's called like Oikaki or something. Anyway, it's cool. It's just basically like you've got this grid. It's a puzzle game,
Yeah.
and kind of think like Minesweeper a little bit. You've got these kind of like numbers on the rows and columns that tell you where dots could be. So like in column one, like it'll have like a 7 and a 5, and there will be 20 dots in the column, and so it means 7 of those dots are together, and then 5 of those dots are together, and they'll never be touching the groupings, right? So you have to figure out which 7 and which 5 have the dots in them, and that corresponds to the rows, which might also have a 7 and a 5 next to it. And so in that row, again, there's 7 dots together and 5 dots together, and you have to figure out which ones they are. And so it's just through kind of like math and deduction, you kind of figure out, okay, I know there can't be a dot in this spot because the numbers dictate that there will never be a dot in this spot. So you can put a little X there, and that kind of helps you whittle down.
Also, I'm sorry, you're telling me this overlong math game has a drag bar in it?
Yeah, yes.
That's not fair.
Yeah, it's yeah. So the basic premise of the game is you are an actress on a television show, like a detective television show, and then
You put the robot in a junkyard. That's what I know.
yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So you're this actress and you get fired from your job, and then the producer of the show who fires you ends up being murdered, and then you decide to kind of, because people kind of suspect you at first, so you have to kind of help clear your name. So you go around these different rooms in the studio, the TV studio, and you're trying to like you solve puzzles. But the main thing is there's this robot that just shows up out of nowhere and starts helping you, and that's kind of where the game goes from there. You use this robot to search for clues, and then when you find the clue is when you do the puzzle to figure out whatever the object is, and then you can use those objects to go talk to people and use them to kind of unlock the next parts of the story, because it's also got like a visual novel side to it, where you're talking to the other actors on the show, and your ex-husband becomes involved with this, and you're kind of have to question him about it. So there's kind of a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney vibe, where you're kind of showing like, okay, somebody says something about like, oh, I don't drink, I'm totally sober, and you're like, ha, I have this fucking flask with your initials on it, figure that out, motherfucker. And so anyways, it's kind of fun at first, but yeah, it needs to end already. These chapters take way too long.
Yeah, I think it depends whether you're playing it with hints turned on or off. I was like, I'm smart, I don't need to turn hints on. And that turned out to be a mistake because I was smart enough to complete the game, but I hated it by the end. Whereas
Yeah.
if I think I'd followed my pride and turned hints on, then I probably would have enjoyed it more, despite having that wound to my pride. So
Yeah, I
I
don't really
probably should have
see
done
any
that.
way. Yeah, like I don't know if I don't think I have hints turned on, but I also don't see any way you can lose the game. Can you lose these puzzles? Like if I just start typing dots everywhere, or is it just kind of like a point thing where it's like, oh, you don't get as many points at the end of the level?
You can't lose if you screw up a puzzle, you just have to redo it, right? Because then you'll know that you can't solve it.
Hmm.
But what determines your score at the end of the level is whether you've found all the secret puzzles in the
Oh, I
level.
see.
Because some of them are a little bit hidden and aren't necessary to advance the plot. But the problem is, if you miss one, you have to replay the entire chapter to get like the S rank on the
Oh
level.
God.
So, yeah, not the most user friendly experience.
No, no, it's not.
Um,
Hey,
but yeah,
yeah,
enough dunking on this indie game, which has a lot of charm to it, at least in
it does.
the
The
early couple of chapters.
graphics are wonderful. Like I love the art, and I like the characters for the most part. But yeah, man, it needs to end.
Yeah,
That shouldn't be a 30-hour game. You know what I mean?
it's like let me just open my Steam account for a second. I think it's my fifth most played game on Steam by
Oh,
hours, just because of how long it took me to beat the game. By the end of it, I had like another. I had like the avocado open on a second monitor just so that I wouldn't die of boredom while I was playing it. Oh God, how long did it take me? Yeah, it's currently I can count 7th most played game on Steam at 53 hours.
what the hell? You've got to be kidding me. That's like longer than an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, the three Assassin's Creed games I've beaten are all in the 20 something hour range. The only
Yeah.
games I've played for longer are Sleeping Dogs, Golf with Your Friends, Tales of Zestiria, Mass Effect, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Halo the Master Chief Collection, which is like six
What?
games in one, so
Yeah,
that's
one of
not
those is
fair.
60 games in one.
Man, I beat Dead Space 2 in 14 hours. So, and that game is infinitely more interesting than Murder by Numbers. Holy God.
Yeah, I'm looking around. Like, there's another visual novel in that range. Danganronpa V3 took me 52 hours, but that was 52 hours of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
can see that.
that's yeah,
I believe that's the tagline of that game. V 3 hours of fun.
yeah. That without saying anything more, that's more of a spoiler than you think it is.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway,
I know it's literally the only thing I know about the series since I read Griffin McElroy's essay about that game.
Well, I messed up. I played Ultra Despair Girls first, and I guess that spoils all of part one and two or something like that.
yeah, I think I warned you
Ah,
not to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're like, fuck you,
ah.
I'm doing it anyway. Like, your funeral, buddy.
Yeah, I
I,
know.
I know.
Well, I guess I don't need to play, the first game now, since I know who the killer is.
But it's
I
so
don't know. It
good.
might be interesting to see what it's like playing it, knowing who they are, and seeing like how they react. I don't know.
It's going to be a different experience for sure,
Yeah.
but I think you'll be like, oh, that makes sense, and oh, that fits together. Ultra Despair Girls doesn't actually spoil much of Danganronpa 2, though, so
Okay.
you won't know exactly what's going on there.
Yeah.
Um,
Right on.
all right. And I have been playing a little game called Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Um,
Yay!
I'm
Oh,
not good
yeah.
at it.
Right.
I suck at it. I suck at it a lot. Uh,
It's a challenging game.
Yeah, for sure.
so I'm going to admit that I'm a wimp, and so there's
Extra
effectively three
fast.
levels of difficulty. There's like classic, then there's funky mode, but within funky mode there's like regular funky mode, which is just the base game, but with the the prices at the in-game store turned down a little bit.
Hmm.
Or
And then there's
there's
the full. Yeah, Sorry.
Yeah, full-blown funky mode, which is if you fuck up, it don't matter. So I'm playing on regular funky mode. Just because...
Funky, playing as funky, you have more health, and you have a surfboard that keeps you from being hurt by spike traps. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. So I didn't want to trivialize it, so I just made like the shop prices lower for myself, so that each life is 1 coin instead of however many it is in the base game, and that turned out to be
10 to 15.
10 to 15 coins. Oh gosh, yeah. So I made the right decision because that way you can just have 30 lives going into a level and not worry about game overs.
And I will say that. Sorry, I will say that in the game's favor, like, it's pretty easy to grind for lives. I spend more of that game having 99 lives to burn through than not. And like, yeah, sure, yes, at that point maybe you should just like go all the way with it. But you have to understand, it was 2014. Nintendo wasn't there yet. They had to wait until Mario Odyssey to be able to be there.
That's fair. But yeah, that's I'm not like, I just want to beat the game. I don't want to have like the original experience or whatever. So I'm just letting myself, I'm just letting it gently kick my ass instead of brutally kick my ass.
I think that's perfectly sensible, and you're definitely still like enjoying just how incredibly tight but also intense the level design is.
Yeah, I'd say the level design is phenomenal. They do a lot of interesting stuff with 2D platforming that I like. You'd think it's kind of not a dead genre, but a genre that's been explored to its fullest potential, and I'm still finding things in it that I find interesting or innovative, or like the enemies do interesting things, or the way you interact with the levels is interesting. There's a lot of cool, unique mechanics in it. The art design is fantastic. I love the audio. They've done really cool things with all of that. The only thing I'm not really enjoying, I find the controls a little slippery compared to, like, especially coming off playing Ori. The controls are just not as tight as I'd want them to be. But other than that, I'm having a good time with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, they go for weird, deliberate slipperiness. Sorry, I'll just shut up. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it is a weird, like, it's partly intentional. Like, they don't want you to be able to control the roll move really, really precisely, because that would kind of break the game. And it needs to be kind of a risk-reward thing where if you roll too close to the edge, you're supposed to roll off and die. But it does make for some scenarios where you think you're pretty far from the edge, you want to roll through an enemy, and then you just roll right off the edge, like, oh, damn it. Back to the last checkpoint.
The looseness can also serve the momentum when you're in a good groove, when you're Godzilla speedrunning the game.
He's done some interesting stuff with that game. I want to know if he's like up on the leaderboards in the speedrun now. I should ask. But yeah, it's an interesting experience. I'm glad I'm having it, and it'll give me something to do for the next little while, so it'll be fun.
With that game, I got it on the Wii U when it came out, and I don't even remember what level boss this is. I'm terrible with remembering what levels are, but there's like a giant bird or like an owl.
Yes.
Thing.
Yep, that's the second boss.
I've heard about that fucking owl.
Boss since 2014. Like, I cannot get past it. I've tried many times. There's like 4 like versions of the boss that you have to get through, and he like drops these seals or something.
The owl's name is Scowl, by the way.
Scowl? Oh god.
Yeah, it drops.
I can't. Yeah. I will never get past it. I've already decided, and that game will just stuck.
There are way worse bosses in that game than that owl.
Oh god.
Sorry.
So
like,
I beat that.
Boss, I literally spent a year on.
I was. Yeah, it's a boss where you have to kind of learn the patterns. It has 3 phases.
It's my favorite kind of boss.
Yeah, and so the first phase is not super duper hard. The second phase is where it really ramps up. The third phase is cheap and very hard to dodge attacks. So
The third phase is insane. I wouldn't call it cheap, but it is intense. I really do believe though that this game is like this game is on par with Celeste as being like, if you're gonna play a modern 2D platformer, you have to play this game. Is my perspective.
Yeah, I had to play Celeste. I got through maybe like half of Celeste without any cheats, and then when I found out you could turn on the cheats where you basically never died, I was like, oh fuck, let's not turn on those cheats. And that's how I beat the game. There was no way I was gonna get through that without some kind of a helper.
Yeah, I don't mind bashing my head against a wall on occasion, but there's some bosses, like the final boss in Ukulele, which took me, I don't know, 5 hours to beat. The bosses like that really kill me. But
yeah,
I don't think anything in tropical phrases is poorly designed as Ukulele is.
yeah, I've heard that the 2D Ukulele is pretty good. So apparently they figured out how to make that franchise now. But I do not want to see a Ukulele 2 in 3D because I just don't think they know how to make it. But maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe Ukulele 2 will be fantastic. And I'll eat crow if that happens. I will literally eat crow. I will find a crow and eat it. So video games are coming out in 2021. I know it seems weird.
Are they? Wow.
Yeah, it seems weird that as the world does whatever it does outside, video games are still being made, and there are a lot of cool games coming up in 2021. So I thought it would be a good idea for us to talk about what games we're looking forward to in 2021, how we think they'll be, which games we think might surpass expectations, which games we think might be a little controversial. Let's just get right into it. Andy, what are you looking forward to in 2021?
Let's see what I have here. I think the one that I'm most excited for, at least in this first kind of quarter of 2021, is Persona 5 Strikers. Hyrule Warriors came out. I've been really in on the Musou games. So I went back and I played the Dynasty Warriors games and Samurai Warriors, and so now every time a new one comes out, I'll check it out just because I enjoyed that so much. And obviously Persona 5 was it being one of my favorite games. That came out, was it 2018, 2017?
2017, yeah.
Yeah, I jump on anything that game has. I really
2016 was the original Japanese release. 2017 was the Western release.
Yeah, the U.S. release.
Yeah. I said it. Sorry.
No, it's cool. Yeah, so I mean, I know I think it's gotten some kind of mixed reviews. I can't, like the Japanese version has, but I think it's kind of the same stuff that people always complain about with Musou games, where it's just repetitive and it's a grind. And I don't necessarily hate that. At least with these games, because they're kind of mindless and you can just hack and slash your way through, and it's a nice way to kind of blow off some steam in the evening after work has kind of kicked your ass or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a turn off your brain kind of thing, but sometimes I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to it as someone who enjoyed Persona 5, or at least I really enjoyed the pop art style it had going on, and I'm eager to revisit that. So yeah. Anything else you're looking forward to?
Still going on the kind of the Persona route. I am looking forward to the Shin Megami Tensei 3 remake. To Switch. I can't remember if it has a date or not yet. I think it's in March, maybe.
No, not yet. No, yeah, it's just spring right now. But I expect we'll hear more soon. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, I'm completely late on this series. Persona 5 was the first Shin Megami game I ever played. So I'm all in on the series now. And I just played Persona 2 last year in December. I guess I was kind of playing that a lot too, if we want to go back to what we were playing over the holiday. Persona 2 was really fun. And so I'm ready for more. Shin Megami Tensei 3. Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited for SMT5, which is also supposed to come out this year, potentially.
Yeah, yeah,
So
hopefully.
we'll see how. I've never played one of the base SMT games, but I hear they're a lot darker and weirder than Persona. And
Yeah.
they're also like Persona, kind of largely in their own continuities. So
Mhm.
you don't have to play the previous one of the series to get what's going on in the next one.
I
So I think
do
I can jump in at
understand
5.
this new one to be more of a direct sequel from SMT4.
Oh, okay.
That's coming from me being told that by someone who's a very dedicated fan of SMT specifically. So,
Mm.
Okay. Then I'll skip it entirely. Too bad.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Well, it's like there's a slight grain of salt, but
It doesn't. It's okay. I have too many video games to play already. I can miss one.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, this is gonna be such a backlog year for me.
For sure. Um, Bones, are there any games you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to a lot of things. I'm looking forward to the medium, even though I probably won't be able to play it for years. Um,
For a second, I thought when you said the medium, I was like the entirety of video games, and I was like,
right?
oh wow,
I'm
that's
looking
really
forward to
ambitious.
a video game. No, the new survival horror game that's Xbox exclusive and is specifically next gen Xbox exclusive. If I could play it on my One X, believe me, I would. Um,
So
but yeah,
this is
it's
Bloober
very
Team.
much like Bloober Team, like going really high budget and going like Silent Hilly with it. And as someone who who wrote a full Historia on Silent Hill, I will always take the opportunity to get a new thing trying to be like that.
So I'm looking up.
Really, really excited for that game.
I'm looking up Bloober Team's history right
Bloober Team
now.
doesn't have best history, yeah, but like, I don't know.
They have. I mean, they did Layers of Fear and the Blair Witch game, which were
I've never
both
met someone who likes Layers of Fear.
well received. But they also did a game called Double Blue back in 2011. So um, I don't know what that is, but go for.
I just don't know anyone who likes Layers of Fear or the Blair Witch game, but personally. But I'm really trying to be optimistic about it because I want good survival horror, and I want survival horror that's not first person and super stealthy and
Here's the
everything.
thing: is will the game actually be good, or is it going to rely too much on this gimmick of the worlds transitioning instantly? Right? Because that's why it's only on Series X, is because you can switch between whatever this like ghost world and the real world is, or something, kind of like that Ratchet and Clank game that's going to come out for PS5.
You're constantly playing in both worlds. Like you're controlling your player twice on the screen at all times.
Oh, interesting.
My understanding. And I mean, I think that's a sensible. I think that's a sensible iteration on what Silent Hill was already doing with like the other world as a mechanical notion. So I mean, yeah, I think it can work. But we'll see.
I'm interested in playing that one too. But again, I don't have a Series X, and I have no plans to buy one anytime soon. So it's like, I don't want to spend $500 on a system for a game that might suck. So
yeah, and I'm certainly not getting a gaming PC either. Sorry, Merve.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I'm not offended by people not getting a gaming PC. Their gaming PCs are their own special nightmares. What else are you looking forward to?
It says a lot about where I'm at, but also where the world is at. That one of my most anticipated releases of 20 and 21 is a remaster of a series I literally already own all of. is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Oh yeah.
It is 100% a wait for reviews thing for me. I'm not being stupid about it, but I'm really hopeful that that the updates to it are not just like nice, prettier visuals or making Mass Effect 1's combat more like the sequels, but I'm specifically really hoping that they like restore some of the cut content. I'd be really happy to see that. I'm not saying it's super likely, but it also isn't very intensive resource-wise to do it. It was something that people were already doing with the original versions of the game. So
I'm not even sure what was cut from the original Mass Effect.
Most what I'm talking about is mostly that like there are a bunch more companions who are originally bisexual, and they cut out their queer romance.
Oh yeah.
They recorded all of the dialogue, and you can see like the cutscenes were completely finished, but they were mostly finished, and you could just pull that out and re-access them. And that happened with Hayden, Ashley, Jack, Thane, just an insane number of characters. So I'm kind of hopeful that we're in a different cultural place than we were in 2007. And this would be the most demanding thing to do with this kind of re-release. So I'm hoping that maybe they'll do at least a little of that.
But, yeah, we'll see.
Even in 2007, we were still not fully there on.
I mean, you have to realize what happened with the original Mass Effect. It spawned. Yeah, it spawned this report that is like an alien sex game, which it very much is not.
Yeah. I'm well aware. Believe me, I'm well aware. I was a kid when that happened. I was paying attention.
Yeah. It was a very like.
But, oh, sorry. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just strange to think how different the world was 13 years ago. And I'm not saying we're in a great place now. I'm just saying we're in a different place and probably a better place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah. But yeah, it's
trans people are an insane amount more mainstream since then, and a lot of shit have happened. I can't dispute that, certainly.
Yeah, it was a time when like I don't think it would be as easy to get away with a completely made up story on an alien sex game anymore on the news.
No.
I might be putting too much faith in legacy media institutions, but I think it'd be a different time for sure.
I also think Fox News could try that now and wouldn't get as far with it as they did at the time.
I mean, I think half their viewership would be into it. But that's a whole other story. So yeah, any other games that you're looking forward to?
Oh, gosh, there's so many. But I'll try to keep like one more. Are we doing like top three here?
Yeah, sure. Let's do top two, top three, whatever. I've got a few that I'm going to mention as well.
Sure. Sorry, I'm just looking at your list on the Word doc. Like I took a little notes for this, but only on one specific part.
Yeah, sorry. I put a lot of games on that list, and I'm not going to play most of those.
I don't mind that. I'd rather just try to be reminded of everything that's supposed to be on the docket than not.
Yeah. I mean, while you're thinking of that, I can mention a few that I'm looking forward to.
Please.
So, like, I mean, they're definitely like your big budget games, your Halo Infinites, your Scarlet Nexuses, your Deathloops, your Psychonauts 2s. Those I'm all looking forward to those, but I wanted to kind of highlight some indie picks because I figure our listeners know what's going on in the big budget space. So I wanted to mention Sports Story. If you've played the Sidebar Games' previous game, Golf Story, it looks fairly similar. For those of you who don't know, Golf Story is like a throwback to the old top-down 16-bit RPGs with a throwback to kind of like classic golf mechanics, the classic 3-click system. But it's a big frickin' joke. It's a huge joke RPG, and it's very funny and very silly. And they're finally doing a sequel, and now they're throwing in all of the sports, not just golf. There's I guess there's hockey. There's definitely soccer, volleyball, tennis, all the good stuff, all in one ridiculously stupid package. So I'm looking forward to that as someone who liked the original Golf Story. This other game I wanted to highlight is a game called Chris. Sorry, go ahead.
When you say it's a joke, like what do you mean? Like is it like an RPG parody, or is it like Like, is it just funny?
It's a little bit of both, in the
Okay.
sense that it's a top-down RPG where all of your stats are golf related and all combat is golf.
So you fight like monsters and stuff, or other golfers, or how does that work?
You challenge them to, instead of fighting people, you challenge them to golf.
Oh, okay. Do you play full like 18-hole golf, or is it?
It depends. Sometimes it's just like specific, very specific challenges, like um, complete this one hole within 3 shots.
Mm,
Sometimes it's full courses. Full courses tend to be like the level-ending boss battles.
I see.
And between that, there's a whole bunch of other challenges. Then there's one level where most of it is actually disc golf instead of regular golf. So you're like
Mm.
controlling a frisbee. It's weird.
Do you have to
It's a
get
messed
high?
up game.
Which
Sounds
one?
very cool.
Yeah, I highly recommend it if you're into like jokey games.
Okay.
But it's also actually like it's like legitimately a golf game. So it has like I don't know if you're familiar with like the Mario Golf 3-click system. It's a
Yeah.
little bit like that. So you actually it actually does require quite a bit of skill, and towards the end it gets really really hard because you have to account for wind conditions and grass conditions and a whole bunch of other stuff. So by the end it becomes very challenging, but also a lot of fun.
Nice.
This other game that I'm looking forward to is a game called Chris Tales, which is kind of like your old school 2D JRPGs, uh, but this one's made by a Colombian studio, and instead of like that throwback 16-bit kind of art style, it's this very gorgeous storybook kind of art style. It's extremely ornate, with like all this really beautiful flat shaded fantasy architecture, and on top of that, there's time travel. So, fantasy time travel 2D JRPG that looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks super duper ambitious. I don't know how they're going to pull this off, but I have faith that it'll be at least passably good.
Yeah, Chris Tales looks really cool. Also, I love a motif of what we've been talking about, where the majority of what we're talking about was 100% 2020 games that were pushed to 2021.
Oh yeah, Sports Story was supposed to come out like summer of last year.
Yeah.
Same with Chris Tales was supposed to come out in the fall of 2020.
Even the
I can
Mass
name a
Effect
game that was
remasters were
always
pushed
slated
out of
for.
the fall.
Sorry, go ahead.
Even the Mass Effect remasters were pushed out of the fall. That was more for that they wanted to do more for Mass Effect 1, reportedly,
Yeah.
but beyond that, anyway.
So to name a game that was, I think, always slated for 2021, there's this another indie game called Nuts, and it looks like
I'm not-
Vapor. Sorry, go ahead.
Please. I haven't heard anything about this one, so please tell me.
It looks like Vaporwave Firewatch.
Oh,
I
shit.
don't know how else to describe this. So, again, it's in the woods. You're paranoid, and the game involves setting up surveillance cameras to monitor squirrels who are stealing nuts.
Okay, I'm completely. This is
Yeah.
skyrocketed to the top of my most anticipated. Thank you.
I'm just like, I just looking at the art style, just kind of like, I don't know how else to describe it other than Vaporwave Firewatch, because that's exactly what it is. Like Firewatch but pink. I don't know. I'm super down for whatever the hell this weird ass game ends up being. It might suck. I don't know. I don't care. I'm gonna buy it anyway.
Well, this sounds really interesting. Yeah, is this only expected for PC right now?
I have no idea. Sorry. Sometimes I don't. When I know a game's coming to PC, I don't really look at where else it's slated for.
That's a,
Yeah, it should be. I think it's just slated for PC right now. But it's just slated for PC right now. It'll probably get like ported to Switch and PS5.
I hope so. Yeah, this sounds cool as hell.
Yeah. Anything else you folks are looking forward to? All right, that's every video game that's coming out in 2021. Um,
Disgaea
so,
6. I want to play Disgaea 6.
oh yeah, that's happening.
Yeah,
Um,
This
summer.
guy, sorry. I'll
yeah,
also say the Ball on Wonderworld.
oh yeah, that looks
That might be
that
a.
looks
Really looking
great.
forward to that one. Yeah,
That's like
and
I was gonna say,
that
same
one
guy
has
who
a
made
date
Sonic,
that it
Yuji
probably
Naka.
won't be pushed back on. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll get delayed. It's coming out right now in March, but I bet that
They could
pushes
say
delayed.
March for like 6 months at this point. Like, I mean, like, yeah, it could slip very late, but I don't know. Usually when that happens, like right now, it's because they are really confident in it. You know,
I bet it'll be June or July.
I
We'll see.
admire your cynicism.
I don't know how long they've been working on this. That's going to determine a lot of it. I've
Yeah.
If it's been in development for a very long time, I mean that's also a double-edged sword, right? It could mean it went through dev hell, like Cyberpunk did, or it could mean that it was just something they've been working on for a long time and it's been incubating for so long, and they're really just polishing it. So it's really
Yeah.
hard to know where that is.
Which
There's
is
no
my
insider
understanding.
information
That's
on it.
where, sorry, my
Sorry, go
understanding
ahead.
is that's where Psychonauts 2 reportedly is now. Like they gave a dev update in December that said like content's done. We're just polishing now, and are we all happy to hear that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
that could be
yeah, I
awesome.
remember that update. It's just polish and UX stuff now,
Yep, which
which
is really
is
exciting.
yeah. I've been waiting for this game for gosh, I don't know how many years now.
Same,
Um,
same.
yeah, especially since the original Psychonauts is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm really excited to see where Psychonauts 2 goes.
Also,
Um,
if
I
you don't
wonder
mind,
if it'll be. Sorry, I was saying. I wonder if it'll be a thing where they try to release it in the first quarter, like before the end of the fiscal year, and if they can't make that date, if they'll just wait to push it out into the fall to have it kind of be like a second tent pole with Halo.
hmm?
it could
Wow,
be. Um,
I can see
my
that.
guess is that it was. My guess is that they're aiming for fall because they still have to bug test everything,
Yeah,
and do cert and all that, and that takes time. Even now that they're an internal studio, they have to do cert for every other platform because, or I guess in this case, just PlayStation, because they are aiming for a multi-plat release.
hmm,
Yep.
So I don't think fiscal 2020 is possible
No.
for that game.
yeah.
It's going to be a fall release.
Yeah, I
I
would
would be
over
very
fall.
surprised if it slipped to 2022, but I don't think we're going to see that before the end of summer.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just also wanted to quickly say Ball and Wonderworld is the project that Yuji Naka has been working on since he joined Square in 2018, and for the kind of game that it is that's a pretty solid dev cycle.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely. I I have, especially since Japanese games tend to have a slightly shorter development cycle
Yeah,
than like the big AAA Western games. Um, I think it's definitely feasible that they could get it out by March, but again, a delay is also potentially in the
yeah.
cards.
No one will
I'll
blame
move
them
it to
if
April.
they say something after all. Like we're still in COVID. Like most people are going to be patient and sane about things right now. Unless you're Cyberpunk, where you delay it like 4 times in a row, and then it's still a piece of shit. Sorry, Andy. I'm sure you enjoyed it, and that's valid. But
The thing I'll say about Cyberpunk, yeah, I am enjoying it, but I'm playing it on PS5 and it still constantly crashes. And so that is a huge pain in the ass because you'll be playing for like 20 minutes and then it'll crash. And you'll reboot, and you'll play for 20 minutes and it'll crash. And so that's my frustration with it. Other than that, I think the game is fairly solid. Well, I'll leave it at that.
That's like what I've been hearing from people who are playing it on the higher end hardware, is that there's a good game in there when you can play it.
Yeah.
yeah,
And not to get too sidetracked again on this game, but I like that kind of that Jason Schreier article came out where people were kind of talking about it, and I think somebody in there mentioned that it was like they were trying to build both a Grand Theft Auto game and like a Witcher / Elder Scrolls game, and it's like they kept kind of these different teams didn't know what to do, so they were kind of like bouncing between the two genres, and at the end of the day, they just kind of both came out as half-baked versions of both of those styles instead of just sticking to one, like either making a GTA clone or making a Witcher 3, cyberpunk game. And so you can definitely see where they failed on both of those as you play through the game.
I almost feel like it would have been better if they didn't like the second I found out that you could drive in that game, I became a little skeptical.
Yeah,
and that's where I think it kind of went off the rails. So go ahead.
I've recently acquired a motorcycle, and so I actually use that more than I use the car, and only because I can actually see what my character looks like. You spend all this time like customizing your character, and you never get to see them unless you look in a mirror. So the motorcycle kind of gives me that kind of like connection to the character that I've created.
And only the mirror, no other reflective surfaces.
yeah, no. You look in water, you don't see anything.
Yeah, you're just like Bloody. Was it Bloody Mary who can't see her own reflection? I don't know anything about Tales. No, definitely not Bloody Mary. What am I saying? Anyway, a lot of other things are going to happen in 2021 in the industry, and it's our time to do our annual Predictathon, where we tend to be very wrong, but we never check how wrong we are, so it doesn't actually matter. So let's throw out some bold predictions about what we think is going to happen in 2021. Who wants to get this prediction train started?
I'll go.
You're both okay. I was going to say you're both cowards, but Andy has bravely volunteered.
Right, my bold prediction for 2021, and it's actually kind of a sad one. So I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but I think Nintendo will shut down the eShop on both the Wii U and the 3DS this year.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, they've already shut it down in Latin American countries.
I think it'll take longer than that. but I get it.
Yeah, the Wii lasted for 13 years, their eShop. And we're only on 10 years on the 3DS and 9 years on the Wii U. So it was a little premature, but the Wii U's dead. And I think the Switch has replaced the 3DS as Nintendo's handheld, So I think the acceleration for that might be faster. The only thing keeping it from happening is I think we've become more used to the idea of digital storefronts that Nintendo might say, okay, there are still people who have these, so maybe we hold on to it for a little while longer.
Also, there are just enough indies that still release on Wii U that they might want to give those guys a little more time.
What was the last time a Wii U indie came out? Was it?
Literally, like the really, really minor ones are like literally every week.
Oh, they still release shovelware?
I mean, I don't want to call it shovelware. I don't think that's fair, but
okay.
But yes, I see really, really small scale stuff like being posted every week. So.
Huh. I'll have to check in my Wii U shop. And I haven't turned the Wii U on.
I'm a lunatic. I didn't get a Wii U until 2019. So who knows if my judgment is what they care about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what Wii U exclusives are we playing nowadays? Xenoblade Chronicles X, Devil's Third.
I'm going to be playing 3D World on Wii U until the Switch port is like $40.
That's fair. That's fair. No Bowser's Fury on the Wii U, but that's okay.
I've actually found the Wii U to be my because it's still got the Virtual Console. So if I want to play Nintendo 64 games, Super Nintendo games that haven't been put on Nintendo's online service yet, you can still go there and grab those. Like Paper Mario I'm doing Paper Mario for the new games release column next month, and obviously I can't find an N64 card of that is reasonably priced, but I can get it on the Wii.
The Wii has N64, Game Boy Advance, DS. Like, it's so far ahead of Switch as far as retro stuff still. Sorry for cutting you off there.
Yeah, so if they do announce that is shutting down this year, I'm going to have to go on a spending spree and just buy all these things before I, potentially can't ever get them again.
Yeah, the Wii U is my affordable retro thing right now as well. So I very much get you. There are these rumblings of a revamp of the Switch Online stuff, but I don't know. If it takes long enough, I hope they'll just let the Wii U stay open up until they're ready to do something with that.
Yeah, but I think it's the lifespan of that digital storage has got to be over soon. If not this year, then maybe in the next year or two. Because I can't see them still continuing to support the Wii U for sure, and even the 3DS when they have.
I don't expect it to run beyond like 22 or 23 for sure.
I can see the Wii U shop actually shutting down sooner than the 3DS one, just because there's so many 3DSs still out in the wild, whereas nobody bought a Wii U.
Yeah, I mean, and they shut down the Wii U's like the Me service, whatever that was called, where it was like
Miiverse,
the
best thing on the internet.
Shut that down a while ago. So it's like there's. Can you even play Splatoon online with the Wii U still? I haven't tried that in ages. You can? Okay.
Yeah, you can. Everyone who does have a Wii U, like they can have their like the account on the Wii U is shared with the Switch account. Like all those people are still just using the same account on both hardware. I merged mine. So there's still a fair amount of Wii U support actually, but but it's also fair to say the Wii U was discontinued right before the Switch launched. The 3DS was only discontinued last year. 3DS will probably outlive the Wii U's digital services.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how those shops are connected, like on Nintendo servers. Like, can they shut down the Wii U shop and not shut down the 3DS shop? I don't know how closely tied together those are.
That's a fair question as well.
I'm sure they can shut them down separately. I don't think they're super interdependent. Speaking of Nintendo predictions, I'm going to be very bold, and I'm sure Bones has something in here to contradict this. I'm going to say no second Switch model is going to come this year.
I don't know about that.
No, it's insane.
I don't see why it would. The existing hardware is selling really well. There's no point in splitting the market right now.
That is true.
Maybe 2022?
The new 3DS launched only 2 years after the 3DS did, and after its most successful year ever. They do this. It is how they do.
Yeah,
it is how they do. I mean, it's how they've done once. I don't think a pattern's been established.
I mean, the Game Boy Color was only on the market for like a year before the Game Boy Advance happened.
That's fair.
Anyway, no, it's pretty consistent with their handhelds actually. But okay, but my broader point is like Nintendo's strategy for this stuff is that they want to get out ahead of sales flagging. They don't want to be responding to sales flagging. That's my main issue with your argument.
That's fair. I just don't see. I know there have been all these rumors, but none of these rumors are consistent with each other about what exactly this thing is. I mean,
the rumor of a Switch 2 has been around since almost the birth of the Switch. It's like, okay, well, when's the Pro coming out though?
I mean, it might be coming. I don't know. I'm willing to be proven wrong on this because, like I said, these are bold predictions, and no one's going to hold me to account for them. So
yeah. I respect it. I apologize for being hard-headed about it, but I'm coming from a perspective where I'm starting to make contacts in this industry, and I also hold the journalists who have proven themselves respectable in pretty high, consistent regard. And
I mean, there are insiders who are reporting that. Let me put it this way: I am certain that there is a Switch, like a Switch XL or Pro or whatever, or even a Switch 2 in development right now. I just don't think it's coming out in 2021.
I can accept that. I just also think that thing was originally supposed to be a 2020 release, and they're not going to push it back that far. And I'll concede the 2020 thing is actually my theory alone, and most people have not backed that up, but that's another question.
Yeah, I think the working, like, my understanding is that the rumor is that it's meant to kind of coincide with Breath of the Wild 2.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any insider information backing that up or if that's just informed speculation.
It's mostly just been that speculation, yes. Like most people are just making that assumption, and it's a consistent assumption, and it's an understandable one. But there's not like specifically people, like the good sources, saying that mostly. Sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm always skeptical of this stuff. But
I get that.
We'll see.
I get that. But, it's a weird position to be in, to be like starting to develop contact relationships, but be still so much on the fringe of this stuff. Where I'm, yeah.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I know, like even post COVID, like this is going to be a really big year for Nintendo, and that had been the report, was that their next like big surge of really like important first party stuff all coming out close together will be at the same time as this hardware. So like I do think it's a this fall thing. I'm pretty confident at, but yeah.
Yeah. So other predictions that I might have, I think Sony's going to acquire some studios this year. That's my other bold prediction.
That one I completely agree with. I don't know if you saw this, but Brad Sams, the guy who posted the image of the Xbox Series S before Microsoft did, that guy is talking about how he's hearing all this stuff about acquisition talks from Microsoft, Sony, EA, Google, and Amazon all at the same time, and all with like a lot of the same like few candidates. And I am in no way enthusiastic about that, but yeah, I think we can definitely expect that arms war to escalate further this year.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft fired the first shots on that when they acquired everybody. What was it, last year?
Yeah.
So if Sony doesn't respond, then they're silly.
Unfortunately, yeah. And Google and Amazon are just desperate to be able to stay in the game after their starts have both been pretty.
Yeah, especially. I mean, Luna hasn't even fully rolled out yet, and I don't even know what's going on with Stadia. So I'm gonna make some bold guesses about studios that that Sony might acquire. I'm gonna guess Bluepoint. I think everyone's saying Bluepoint.
Yeah, the rumbles on Bluepoint have been around for a long time at this point.
Another possibility is Quantic Dream, because they mostly put their games on PlayStation first and then port them elsewhere later. But they might be too big to acquire. I don't know, because they also publish.
Dream is trying to go more, like they're pushing harder on independence. They went from having Sea of Solitude through EA to self-publishing it on Switch, and reportedly they want to continue in that direction. But
money talks, right? Yeah,
money talks, absolutely.
So my wildcard picks that probably no one else is going to pick are Housemarque, who's doing Returnal.
Right.
And they did Matterfall for the PS4. And the big wildcard pick is Mediavision, who did the Digimon story games.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, they don't... The weird thing about Sony is that they don't have a lot of first-party studios. I mean, they have all their, like, Sony studios or whatever, however many they have in Japan. Right. But they don't have that many developers on Japanese soil. It's a little weird. And they could probably use one that's done. They did Valkyria 4. They did Digimon Story, Shining Resonance. So they have a track record.
And taking these further steps with devs like Housemarque, and like Insomniac before them, where you have such a strong relationship already, just like fully finalizing and cementing it is a significantly less risky investment than something like ZeniMax was.
ZeniMax is going to be kind of messy because they have their own internal structures, and who knows how well those will mesh with Microsoft's.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the kind of direction Sony is going to to mostly focus on. Much like Nintendo just buying the Luigi's Mansion guys.
Oh yeah, Next Level. They just got bought out.
Yeah.
So let's throw some more predictions on the
Nintendo game in 10 years. Sorry. Next Level hadn't made a non-Nintendo game since. Remember when MCU movies used to have tie-ins, like licensed tie-ins that weren't a Square Enix live service boondoggle?
Yes, I actually do remember this.
Captain America Super Soldier, which I remember people kind of liking, but yeah, that was their last non-Nintendo exclusive game.
Oh wow!
Which is a lifetime ago.
Let's throw some more predictions on the fire.
Totally.
So I'm gonna put out. Sorry, go ahead. You put out one. Let's see.
Yes, It's not the most fun thing in the world, certainly, but yeah, my head in the ring as far as acquisitions goes. I think Microsoft is going to take Don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can see that happening because they did publish Tell Me Why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're reportedly very happy with their partnership and want to push further on it, and certainly they've shown themselves to be very purchase happy, even when it's not even necessary.
I mean, the thing about Don't Nod is, like, they had 2 games come out last year, right? They had Tell Me Why and Twin Mirror. Twin Mirror was reportedly a disaster. Tell Me Why was very well received. And it, like, that might be down to their publishing relationships. Yeah. Because it doesn't seem like there should be that much of a gulf in quality between those games. But whatchamacallit, Twin Mirror was published under Bandai Namco, I believe.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was necessarily the best publishing partner for the kind of stuff that Don't Nod wants to do.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think it looks like there's incentivization on both sides on that front, and hopefully if that does happen, they at least consider Don't Nod's project small enough that some of them could still be multi-class, like Double Fine or whatever. But we'll see. God knows where this stupid industry is going, right?
Yeah, the thing I'm really concerned about at the end of the day is, are these studios going to be turned into AAA churn factories that are just kind of making much bigger versions of what they're already making, or can they continue to kind of make stuff in the old format and kind of fill that AA void that doesn't get very well filled on consoles? And
we have a lot of suggestions of that concern yet, but it's still early in this phase of this stuff, and also Hellblade 2 becoming an Unreal Engine 5 game is weird. And one of the worst symptoms that seem to be in that regard. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it might be that it's just easier to work with UE5 for what they want to do with that game, but it also could mean they're trying to make it bigger and badder or whatever.
Yeah, it's
really hard to know which way that's going.
Yeah.
Any other? So, Andy, do you have any other predictions you wanted to throw out?
Let's see. Sony will buy Team 17. I don't know.
Sorry, that is hilarious. That is the most hilariously random prediction, and it's not even completely out of the realm of possibility. It's just it's really funny to me.
There's no point.
Oh yeah, and
can you imagine?
Sorry.
Can you imagine Worms being in the next version of PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale?
That would be really
Did you
funny.
play Worms Rumble? It's not too bad.
I didn't play Worms Rumble. I haven't played a Worms game since Worms Reloaded.
Yeah, they gave it on PlayStation Plus in December. It was okay.
It's on Game Pass too. Yeah, I could play it on either for free, and I haven't. Sorry, Worms.
Yeah, it's only got about a week's worth of fun. After that, it's like, okay, I don't need to go back to that game.
So my other prediction is that Sony will fast track a PS5 Slim, and that we'll start hearing about it this year, even if it won't be officially announced.
I can see that. I can see rumors of that happening, and I can see it not coming out until 2023.
Right. Yeah.
Because
if they really want to respond to concerns, but yeah.
I mean, I think first things first, they need to get their production lines for the existing console in order.
Yeah. Totally.
I've been reading the other day. I'll have to dig up the article that they've been basically targeting everywhere except Japan.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
I mean, they don't need to back at home, right? Because they're still outselling the Xbox One by a factor of 7-1.
But they're also
back home.
It's in a weird place where like what was the other headline? You might have seen it on Era. It was 2020 was the first year since the PS1's Japanese launch that less than 1 million PlayStations sold in Japan.
That's
and when you consider that relative to that the PS4 was having its own COVID boom to some extent in the West, that's very jarring.
It is super jarring. They've had massive supply issues in Japan because they're just not targeting that market anymore. They've cornered it. I mean, and the Xbox Series X is vastly outselling the Xbox One in Japan right now.
Yeah. Totally.
Nobody bought an Xbox One in Japan. Nobody. It didn't even there were piles of Xboxes on launch day that nobody was picking up. And it's still, despite the fact that it's selling so much more, it's still being outsold by the PS5 by a factor of 7-1 on Japanese soil. And that's partly supply. They're not supplying that many Xboxes over there. But it's weird that PlayStation just doesn't need to do anything in Japan now. So they're targeting Europe. They're targeting other parts of Southeast Asia. But loyal PlayStation gamers in Japan are starting to get a little bit annoyed because they've taken stuff out of the PS5 that was on the PS4. Stuff like the control mapping. So if you've ever played your Switch and you compare that to your PlayStation, the way you cancel out of things is a different button layout on the Switch than on the PS4 because it's borrowed. The Switch maintains the same button layout as in Japan, whereas PlayStation flips it to be more familiar to Western gamers. But now they're taking the Western arrangement and forcing it on Japan, and people aren't happy. So it's little things like that that's kind of pissing people off. But again, when you're winning 7-1, what do they really care?
Yeah, but you have to wonder how intensive consequences at a certain point will go. You can only devalue a demographic for so long, an audience for so long.
It's really hard to tell whether or not it's working.
Right.
When you've got when Sony's only advertising its massive quadruple A cinematic spectacles made in the West at their showcases, and Microsoft's fucking Jump Force, at their showcases. And that's still not really moving the needle that much.
And also, Microsoft discounted the Xbox Series S exclusively in Japan permanently.
They're trying to make a play for it, and again, that's that. I keep going back to that 7-1 factor.
I get that.
It's gone from 20-1 to 7-1, but
how much more growth is just realistically possible? My point was less about Microsoft and more Nintendo cutting it on PlayStation than anything, honestly.
That's also probably happening quite a bit. I just saw a headline that said that was it 82% of all console
87%.
sales?
87% in 2020,
in Japan.
And yes, granted, PS4 was past its peak, and PS5 is its presumable peak just because of the state of things, and Switch is, in a better place in its cycle, but still, like, that's pretty intense.
Yeah. Well, I think you probably like Animal Crossing for that too.
Oh, for sure. That game is like, I mean, that game was popular worldwide. It's a freaking juggernaut in Japan.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see like what sells in Japan because there's overlap kind of exactly where you'd expect. Like the big Japanese games also sell really well there, and like your Call of Duties also do super well over there. But then beyond that, there's games that are like that sell super well in Japan that sell like 5 copies in the West, and it's really funny to see like the sales charts across countries.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more prediction, and it's going to be actually I have 2 more predictions.
Ooh.
One is going to be I'm going to predict what's going to win Game of the Year at the Game Awards in 2021. I think it's going to be Horizon Forbidden West. I can't see anything else that could threaten its crown on the horizon.
That's realistic, sure.
Maybe the new God of War game, if that also manages to come out in 2021.
There's no fucking way God of War makes it this year.
Yeah, I think it's getting delayed to 2022. And I'll make the not super bold prediction that Psychonauts 2 will be nominated but won't win.
Yeah,
these are not very bold predictions.
Agenda, and I like that a lot.
Nominated.
Sorry, Andy, what were you saying?
I don't know if it'll even be nominated. I don't know. I don't have high hopes for it. I think it'll be good, but I don't think it's going to be like universally beloved.
Whether it's specifically Psychonauts 2 or not, I do think the Game Awards is increasingly going to have it as a regular feature that there will be an indie slot in the Game of the Year category, much like how for a while there was an animated feature slot in the Oscars. That would be nominated.
Yeah, I can see. Sure. Yeah. And like this year, last year it was Hades, right?
Yeah.
And that game was just like tearing up the charts. So obviously it was going to get recognized.
Yeah.
I don't know whether Psychonauts 2, I think it's just going to get in by kind of sheer hype.
Yeah.
Just because it's become such a, like, it's no longer just like this cult classic. It's become a phenomenon in the wider industry and culture. So,
yeah, I mean, if you go to a retro gaming store, I mean, you'll see copies of Psychonauts 2 that are still, $60, $50. Like that game is still really expensive on PS2 and Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, so the funny thing is I'm coming at this from kind of a PC perspective, where you can regularly get Psychonauts for $3.
Right.
But like, yeah, it's definitely a game that's retained its popularity. It's sold so much more after its initial failure than like when it first came out. It's just like this regular good seller now, which is weird. Considering how badly that game flopped at release.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I got a cool Psychonauts Easter egg for you. We're well past Christmas by the time this comes out, obviously. But if you play the PC version of Psychonauts on Christmas and you buy something from the camp store, you'll get an achievement.
I should just go ahead and do that. I mean, in approximately 11 months.
Right,
but
yeah,
I should
just remember that for 11 months. In fact, I have it on my Steam page, my rarest achievement showcase. 3% of the players who own Psychonauts have this achievement. So,
can't they add that to the PS4 version too, so my mom can get in on that action?
I don't know if it's on the PS4 version. I'd have to look it up.
They might have a trophy for it. Yeah. All right, I'm going to make one more prediction, and it's not going to be a happy one. And I think it's going to be controversial. I don't think Kena Bridge of Spirits, that really gorgeous-looking action-adventure game that's receiving a lot of hype, I don't think it's going to be good.
I never thought it looked good, to be honest.
It's a game from a studio that's never made a game before. And the death knell for me is that while the animation looks really good in cutscenes, in the few gameplay snippets they've released, the animation looks really stiff.
Yeah. Yeah, like their pedigree was a popular Zelda fan film. Like that's what they built this off. They could very easily just have stumbled into this situation, kind of underestimating what it really takes to make a really good game. And yeah, I think it's a very sensible one. And like, I mean, we were talking about that with like the Medium and other like big, smaller dev stuff coming out right now. I mean, Ball and Wonderworld has had those concerns as well. Like, there will definitely be some of these exceptionally hyped smaller projects that not all of them are going to satisfy, for sure.
Yeah, for me,
where I see the difference.
Sorry,
go ahead, Andy.
Kena comes across as like I don't know if this is going to be rude or not, but it comes across as like a THQ game. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of has that like lower budget, generic look to it. You know, and I'm sure it'll be fun enough. Like, you know, I'm sure if I played it, I would get a good, you know, maybe solid hour or two of enjoyment out of it. But it just doesn't look like it's going to hold my attention past, you know, the opening, couple hours of the game.
And granted, I so desperately want more of that mid-budget double A, as Merve talked about earlier, but like specifically the way that stuff was in like the early 2000s.
It just reminds me of lazy Saturday afternoons where I'm just like playing this game and I'm bored and I have a headache because I've been sitting down for 3 hours, and like this is the game that I'm playing, and it just makes me feel like not nauseous, but just like, ugh, this is a waste of my time.
Yeah, I miss that kind of stuff, but I definitely agree with that. I think agree that overhype is the problem for a lot of smaller projects right now.
Yeah,
and I don't necessarily think it's all their fault, right? You stumble into a marketing partnership with Sony or whatever, and you accept it because, hey, that's publicity, and you need it for your game for it to turn a profit. But then what the gaming community does with that is it becomes a runaway train of hype. And this is me just pumping the brakes on that a little bit. I think my apprehension here is that, yes, there are other studios, like you mentioned, Housemarque and Ball and Company, that aren't proven yet, but they have like proven developers working on it. And I don't really see that with Kena. It's people with an animation background trying to make a video game. And maybe they've hired a bunch of devs who can really turn this into something fantastic, but
I definitely agree Kena is at an even higher risk for it than a lot of those other ones. Again, their claim to fame was a Majora's Mask fan film. that does not translate to making a good game.
Right. I think if Kena was like a short film, it would probably do a lot better than if it was a video game. But we don't know anything about the video game. It could be great.
I'm not trying to assume either yet, but I agree that there's a serious risk there.
Let's see some footage and see what happens. All right. And moving on, we have one special... We haven't played a game on this podcast in a very long time. And usually when we play games, it's me asking people trivia questions and then laughing at them when they don't know the answers. Today we're going to do something a little different. Andy is our game master. And there are no right or wrong answers here because we don't know the answers yet. Andy's going to list a bunch of games, and we're going to predict the probability that each one comes out in 2021. These are all games that are currently slated for 2021.
Or even just coming soon. We don't even know.
Summer
coming
coming soon.
Given specific years, but are leaning towards a presumption of 2021 right now.
Yeah, and some of these have been on my list because I compiled this new game release list for at least 2, maybe 3 years. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. All right. So basically what I want you to do is from a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is not at all likely and 10 is very likely, that these games will release in 2021. I've randomized the titles so that way it's don't think like the first one is going to, it's not ranked from like what I think to, it's totally random. All right. So here we go.
So is 6 like a 60% chance? So I think of this like a probability.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I do math for a living. I need to latch onto
I
probabilities.
think in the marketing world they call this like an NPS scale. So just kind of think of it in that terms. 0 is definitely not coming out, and 10 is yes, this will come out, and anything in between is kind of your, the gray area. All right,
got it.
So number 1, Elden Ring.
0. 0. Definite 0.
5.
5.
Wow.
Oh wow. Okay.
I
don't think George R. R. Martin is writing for this. It's not coming out before 2025.
Well, okay. I'm sorry for being the obnoxious one again, but George R. R. Martin wrote the lore, and he had already completed it when he submitted it, when the game was announced. Like that was the only part of the game that was finished when it was announced. It was announced like disproportionately early in development, but he had already done the writing. He was done already, so that's part taken care of.
I still don't think it's coming out till 2022.
That being said, yes, this game has been in this spot since fucking June 2019 now, where they just haven't given any updates, and the impression internally is that they're either struggling with it or a little more, or just like announced it too soon. So yes, I'm gonna give it a 5 at best. And I would say, like, if it does happen, it will have to be like really late in the year.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I should give my prediction too. I'm going to give it a 2. I'm giving that a 2. I don't think it'll come out this year, but it might come out. You never know. All right. Second game, Bayonetta 3.
3. Sure, why not?
0.
30% chance.
Bayonetta 3 got rebooted, and Hideki Kamiya's like his annual comments on its progress have gotten more and more depressing each time. 0.
Yeah, the last thing I read is he said that the game is still in progress, but he can't talk about it. So I'm wondering if this is a Switch 2 kind of a thing, where like it's going to be like a Switch 2 launch title. I'm giving it a 9 myself. I think it will come out this year, but we'll see.
It got rebooted, but I believe his most recent one was they said, "We hope that you'll see something from it this year."
Yeah, well, maybe that brings me down a little bit.
It's also Hideki Kamiya, who's notorious for hyperbole, and
Kamiya is a weird guy for sure.
Yeah.
But no, my understanding is that Bayonetta 3's development was bad.
Platinum is a very weird developer in that sometimes their development cycles are just completely smooth sailing. Like with Nier Automata, apparently that was just like the easiest game for them to develop. Yeah. And sometimes things go completely off the rails, like what happened with Scalebound. They're a very inconsistent developer.
They should have agreed to Babylon's Fall and Bayo 3 at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to turn out so well for them.
Yeah.
All right,
Andy, hit us with another one.
Yeah, okay. Next is another Switch title, Metroid Prime 4.
0. Negative 10. I'm
going to put that as a 1.
I think we'll get its second teaser this year, and that's it.
Yeah, the second teaser is just going to be a different font of the logo.
Yes.
I'm going to go with a 0 on that one, too. I don't think that's coming out this year.
I'm giving it a 1.
Yeah.
10% chance.
Yeah. We haven't heard a lot from Nintendo recently. I mean, when was the last time they did a proper direct, not an indie one or a third-party one?
Early 2019.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Well,
they've got to be holding something on that they aren't willing to talk about yet, so.
You're killing me here.
All right, moving on. This one I have higher hopes for. Ghostwire Tokyo. Is that coming out this year?
That one.
9.
9?
Yes. 7.
7. Okay, yeah, I'll go with the 9 here as well.
I think it could slip to early 2022 if there's some problems, but
yeah, I mean, COVID probably obviously has delayed some of these. I'm sure we would have got them for last year.
Did you see that its intended release month leaked?
Oh no, I didn't. What were they saying?
October. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure, for October.
which is appropriate for that game.
Yeah,
given its subject matter.
It is a theming thing like Luigi's Mansion 3, but yeah. Anyway.
I mean, I think I don't know exactly what the story on that game's development is, because its director left partway through, right?
It could be leading it. Yeah.
Left partway through, and now has been freelance for, I guess, a year or two now.
Yeah.
So I don't know how badly that affected development. Yeah. Sometimes the director leaving is not such a big deal, and sometimes it's a huge deal. And it just, there's no information out there really about even why she left. So
yeah,
it's hard to know how badly development was affected by that.
Yeah, agreed.
All right.
Info on that is extremely light in general right now. So.
Yeah.
Moving on. We've got Dragon Age 4.
1, 0? I'm not entirely sure here.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement. I think this is 0 as well.
I think the full blow on that game will surprise us in its timing, but I don't think that it's near ready yet.
A sidebar on that. I mean, BioWare is kind of wrapped up in a bunch of different things, it seems. Do you think they have any plans to continue Anthem, or is that just dead? Like, dead, and they're never going to do their promised reboot?
That's a really tough call. I think Anthem 2.0 will probably get out the door, but yeah, I think they're going to take as long with it as they can at this point. It's not a priority anymore.
Yeah.
I think Anthem 2 is happening, but I think it'll be a much less severe change than was hinted at.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll still be an open world?
So what I think is going to happen with Anthem is that the changes, it's still going to be that kind of MMO thing it is sort of right now. I think most of the changes are going to be in like progression, gating, and gear, and maybe tweaking the gameplay a little bit. I don't think it's going to fundamentally change the structure of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also honestly think they will even like the marketing of it when it does happen will pretend like they never acted like it was Anthem 2.0 to begin with. It will just be swept under the rug.
It was like, hey, here's the new Anthem.
Yeah, it's gonna be a significant update, but I don't think it's gonna fundamentally change anything about the game other than like the stuff that people complained about and maybe some more end game content.
But yeah, my projections for Dragon Age 4 and the new Mass Effect right now are like 2024 to 2026.
I wouldn't put Dragon Age 4 later than 2023. They've been working on it for a long time. I mean, it did get rebooted. But I think a 5-year dev cycle for that game is like compared to how long it took to make the other games. I think 5 years should be sufficient to get it out the door.
Yeah, it's pessimistic for sure, and it's not that like EA doesn't like things taking that long generally, but yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Hit us with another one, Andy.
All right, let's see here. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild 2. Does that come out this year? Or do they wait for a Switch upgrade?
6.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, that game started targeting 2020, and it was likely pushed back even before COVID. But I do think that like resource-wise, it is a huge priority right now that they don't want to fall back too much further.
Yeah, I'll go with the 5. I'll be a little more pessimistic.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I really think it will be like a lot of people are saying. Kind of the Switch 2 is coming out. Here's Zelda to play on it. Like it'll still play on the original Switch, I think, but I bet it's going to look best and play best on a Switch 2. So
I definitely think that.
We'll see. But you're right. If they've been sitting on this for so long that I think if they kind of just ignored it another year, that people would get a little frustrated. So
yeah, I think if it did slip to 2022, it would be like March would be the deadline for how long they were willing to delay. You know, it'd be a fiscal year thing.
Yeah, and that would coincide. Let's see, 2022. That would be 5 years after the Switch came out. So
that'd be 5 years after Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Yeah, after Switch and Breath of the Wild came out. So I mean, I think that's a good. That's not too long, but it is bordering on like, okay, when's the next Zelda coming out?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, next
we know
here.
so little about this game. Sorry, just one thing. We know so little about this game other than we've just seen that teaser cutscene, and it's gone all sorts of it's gone all sorts of speculation about how you can play as Zelda this time around, and I don't know if that's true. My guess is my speculation is that the big technical challenge for this one is that you have a companion following you around, i.e. Zelda, for a lot of the game.
Oh, yeah, but maybe.
You've been pushing this theory for a while, and I respect it very much. I'm not really concerned either way, like how the people's hopes about Zelda pan out, but I'll admit.
Yeah, I just figured I should at least pay lip service to the fact that there is this speculation out there. I don't know. We'll see what that game turns out to be.
Yeah.
Andy, hit us with another one.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Bones. You.
I was just gonna say we know it started as the second story expansion for Breath of the Wild 1, and yes, obviously expanded further from there. But yeah.
For sure.
We'll see, man. I really hope it's good. Okay, moving on. Yeah. Beyond Good and Evil Part 2.
I'm gonna go with that game. That game's getting straight up canceled. I don't care what anyone says.
I got to stop making rude noises. I apologize for that. But yeah, no. What's his fuck?
Michel Ancel.
Yeah, Michel Ancel left. The word is that most of the resources that were supposed to go into both BG and E2 and Wild went into the former before he left, but also they were terribly mismanaged work environments, and I think Ubisoft will just quietly cancel them.
Interesting. I'll go with a 3 on this one. I think it'll still come out, but it's not anywhere near ready.
I don't think they really have a motivation to move forward with that project without Ansel.
I don't want to be too cynical. I mean, okay, I will say 100% Wild is getting canceled. Because we haven't seen anything about it. It was Ansel's baby. BG and E2, there's still, I think, some love for what they're trying to do with it internally, would be my guess.
Fair. That's fair.
Based on how much they've promoted it.
Yeah.
It would be kind of embarrassing for Ubisoft to cancel it at this stage. Whereas Wild, only people who are really following the industry have even heard of it.
Right.
So I think there's a chance that Beyond Good and Evil still comes out. I don't think it's coming this year. But I think Wild is just definitely gone.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever see that game.
That's very sensible.
All right, let's do another one.
All right. Here we go. Starfield.
Zero. That's the.
I have no idea why people seem so set on thinking that this one is coming soon. I don't get it in the slightest.
All right, what's your score on that one, Bones?
2, I guess.
2.
Almost just because people seem to think it's almost ready, and not all of them are just idiot fanboys. But it's so hard to believe.
I mean, what have they really been doing aside from ESO and Fallout 76? I mean, what is Elder Scrolls 6? I think is way far away from Starfield in terms of being ready. Or do you think it's the other way around? Do you think Elder Scrolls 6 is almost done and Starfield is still a ways out?
I think they're both a ways away, and I think 76's issues pushed them both back further. Not because they needed to put too many resources towards improving its cred, but that they are trying to avoid the kind of controversy that 76 attracted.
Yeah, especially with a new IP. I mean, this will be the first kind of futuristic sci-fi one they've done, aside, from Fallout or whatever, which is not really, futuristic sci-fi. It's a different kind of futuristic sci-fi, but yeah, I think if they had a new IP, they would definitely want it to be like well worth people's time and money, instead of just like, oh, this is another buggy piece of shit like Fallout 76, so I'm never going to play another one of these Starfield games. I'll give it a 4, just to be like, okay, it might come out, but there might still be work to do on it.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia article for Bethesda Game Studios right now, and Starfield will be the first non-Fallout or Elder Scrolls game they've made since 2004. The last non-Fallout or Elder Scrolls game they made was IHRA Professional Drag Racing 2005.
Oh, well, I mean, who doesn't love that game?
Yeah, everything else has been Elder Scrolls or Fallout, so this is going to be a big change of pace for them in terms of at least aesthetics and setting.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to play the same as a Bethesda game? Probably. I don't think they're capable of anything else anymore.
Yeah,
I guess
who knows?
I'd put Starfield in that Prime 4 category of I think we'll hear more about it officially soon. But no, I don't think it's going to be ready.
Fair enough. All right, moving on. What do we think about Babylon's Fall?
I have no idea what to think.
Earlier in this recording.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to think about that one. I'm just going to put it down for a 4 because we've seen gameplay.
Yeah. 4. I'll support that.
I'm pessimistic. I'm going to say 0. I don't think this game's ever coming out.
Oh, you think it's going to get canceled?
I think it's already canceled.
I think that would piss Squeenix off a lot.
I don't think Squeenix can afford
Squeenix is the one who would cancel. I don't think they care anymore.
Yeah, but they lost so much money on Avengers. They can't. I don't think they want to lose anything right now.
Yeah, Avengers was a huge bust for them.
Yeah, the funny thing is, and like I've raised this point before, Avengers did decently well at retail. It just bombed in like the tail. Yeah. And it was like initial retail release, it did pretty well, but it had no tail in terms of sales afterwards, and they're not making any money off the online.
Yeah, there's no support for no customer support for the live service of the game, and also like it was an okay retail launch, but yeah, it was still like there's been no the tail thing is a good way to put it. It was an okay launch for something that then proceeds to keep selling, which it has not.
Yeah, it's so weird. If you'd asked me in 2018 whether I wanted a Crystal Dynamics developed Avengers game, I'd have been like, fuck yeah. And then what actually came out is just so far from what I wanted from that studio and that property that, like, I don't even know what to say. I mean, we've bashed Avengers endlessly on this podcast.
Yeah, we were doing that since the E3 reveal.
It's just not what I wanted out of this, and I'm so disappointed as someone who, digs the Avengers and thinks Crystal Dynamics is a really capable and talented studio. It's a little bit of a disappointment for sure.
It's just embarrassing how badly they fucked it up.
Yeah. Here's another one, Andy.
Okay. This might be the last one unless you want to continue, but we'll see how it goes. Shin Megami Tensei 5. Is that coming this year?
8.
8, yeah. 8. Okay. Yeah.
You think they'll do 3 and 5 in the same year?
Yep. Absolutely. I think they'll do one in the spring and one in the fall.
Absolutely, yeah. And Atlas sits on stuff until they're very close to ready. Like, the fact that it got its next trailer last year means that it's in its final stages of development.
Okay.
I mean, that was kind of the opposite for Persona, where it was it got delayed by 3-4 years. But
Persona was a weird edge case on that front. Well, what I mean to say is like something will get announced, but then it won't get updated again until very later on. And I don't know, maybe they talked about Persona every year because Persona was becoming the weird cult hit thing. But that's been the pattern with S&T, certainly. Is what I can say.
I mean, Persona outsells the original series now.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah,
which is strange. I guess it's like NCIS and JAG. That's probably the worst. I've insulted so many people with that comparison.
It's a really fun analogy, that.
Yeah, and most of our listeners are probably too young to understand that analogy. That's fine. I was a baby when JAG was on the air. So, any other games you want to throw at us?
Let's see. Just looking over here. Batman Gotham. We can do these quick. Batman Gotham Knights. Is that coming out this year? You can just do yes or no.
Yes, that's coming out this year.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Let's see. Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance for PC. Is that coming this year?
Haven't heard of it, so sure, why not?
I have no qualifications on this front.
Let's see. The new Fable reboot.
Oh Christ, no. No.
All right.
No.
Final Fantasy 16.
Maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's in early 2022. That's my prediction for that one.
I think it probably is or was targeting 2021, but it could easily slip back still.
Yeah, maybe like a March or April 2022 game.
Yeah.
The Final Fantasy 7 window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The new Indiana Jones game from Bethesda and the Wolfenstein.
That's a 2023 game.
2022?
That's going to take a while.
I don't think that's coming out until 2023. I think they announced it. My rationale is I think they announced it because they wanted something else to announce alongside the new Lucasfilm Games initiative. So I think they announced it early.
Yeah, which in fairness, they did announce the second game. They announced the Ubisoft thing, but no, I think that got announced ahead of time because of they want to make sure the Lucasfilm initiative is a thing, but also that's Machine Games, and they're working on whatever we want to call it, Wolfenstein 3 or whatever as well. So I assume Wolfenstein has to get finished first before Indiana Jones can happen.
All right, another 3 game. No More Heroes 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. The Perfect Dark reboot.
No.
No.
I do think it's a 2022 game.
You think
like a late 2022 game, but I don't think it's coming out anywhere near 2021.
Will that be a Xbox One title as well, or are they going straight Series X, do you think?
My guess is Series X exclusive.
I think
with a PC version.
I think
it's a hard call.
It's coming out this year. Resident Evil Village 8, that's coming out this year, you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, even that game push from spring to fall would be surprising at this point.
Let's see, what else? I'm almost to my end of my list here. State of Decay 3. Does anybody care about that game? Is that coming out?
Yes, but I don't care about it.
All right.
No, and I don't care about it.
Do you guys remember Tunic? Do you think Tunic will come out this year?
Yes.
What the hell is Tunic?
It's one of them indie games where you do the indie things.
Yeah, you're like a little fox in like a Zelda type world.
Oh God, I don't remember that at all. I thought you might have meant Tunche for a second.
I also think that's coming out this year.
Yeah. I can't make an informed opinion on this one.
Let's see.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Windjammers 2. I know that got delayed.
I don't know enough about Windjammers to make an informed opinion here.
I'm gonna say no.
All right. Okay, and this is the last one for sure. The Wolf Among Us Part 2.
I think that's a prime candidate for a delay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm going to say if it comes out, it's going to be very late 2021, and it's going to slip to the first half of 2022.
Yeah, I could see it being like a January release.
Oh, yeah, that's also a possibility.
Yeah.
Right, that's all.
All right. So we've run through every single game that's coming out in 2021. There are no other video games that are coming out in 2021.
We've run through every single game that isn't coming out in 2021.
Yeah. So Halo Infinite does not exist.
Yep.
No.
No. Good Life does not exist. Sable, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury does not exist. Tales of Arise, I actually think that doesn't exist. God, how long ago did we hear about that game and nothing?
Yeah, that game's like legit maybe becoming Vaporwave. Or not Vaporwave, Vaporware.
Oh, God, could you imagine a Vaporwave Tales game? It would be so fucking rad.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be terrible, but it would be fucking rad.
Yeah.
That's actually a game I'm super worried about because it's pretty much in like development hell. That's what the chatter seems to be.
Yeah.
It's never taken this long to make a Tales game. They must have really fucked something up or gotten stuck on something. I don't know. I'm scared.
I'm sorry, man.
That's all right. I'll live. If a video game turns out bad, it will not hurt me.
Yeah. What a hot take right now to say that.
Yeah, I know. It's just video games, guys. Anyway, if you would like to keep up to date with this podcast, you can follow us on our website at avocadogamescast.wordpress.com. There we post each episode along with a link dump to kind of fact check what we're saying. Sometimes, I don't know, we try to stay on facts, but sometimes the facts get away from us. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, or all three if you're weird. No judgment, but you can go ahead and do that if you'd like. Just search for Avocado Gamescast on those platforms, and we're the only podcast called the Avocado Gamescast, despite the fact that we have no legal protection for this name, so if you steal it, we can't really stop you. Please don't steal it. Also, make sure you check out the community that spawned this podcast, The Avocado, at the-avocado.org. You can type out the word hyphen, but that won't take you anywhere. So just press that hyphen key on your keyboard. It's between 0 and the equal sign, in case you're having trouble locating it. So you know where to find it. All right. Anything else you want to say before we call this podcast to a close?
Read my Tuesday new games.
Oh yeah.
October.
Yeah. So read Andy's Tuesday New Games column every Tuesday on the Avocado. Talks about new games, talks about old games from 10, 20, 30, and sometimes even 40 years ago. Because video games are now like 40 years old, and that's weird.
Yeah.
And I'm scared. Bones, you want to mention anything?
Read game news roundup every month. Check out my YouTube videos when they start getting posted, and here's to a hopefully a better 2021
Here, here.
in general.
Yeah, can't wait for 2021 to invent time travel, so we can just go back and redo 2020. It's going to be great. See y'all on the flip side, and take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Take care.